Right, welcome back to the Me, Myself, and Hopefully You podcast. What a week it's been, eh? From the Pfizer vaccine being rolled out to America on the verge of civil war. But the most important question of all, should Donald Trump have been banned from Twitter? All that and so much more on this episode of the greatest podcast in the Reading/Rosendale district. But before we start talking about that, let's discuss the elephant in the room. Quite literally, the elephant in the room. I have gone against lockdown rules. I have disregarded Boz's sort of rules and come back to my uni accommodation. What are you going to do about it, Boris? What are you going to do? Sue me? Come at me, mate. Come at me. No, I'm joking. I haven't gone against lockdown rules because I've left all my stuff here, and the rules are, and don't quote me on this, but the rules are that you are allowed to leave if you can't actually do remote learning. And I left all my textbooks here because I thought I'd be coming back to them. I thought I'd be allowed to come back to them, which I am allowed to come back to them, which is why I'm here. Basically, I'm allowed to come back, but I'm in Reading again. Left home. Last bit of Haslingden and water here, which is very sad. Probably the last bit I'll get for another 3 months. Very long time. A longer time that. No, Haslingden and water, man. Honestly, if you're watching this from Haslingden or Rosendale, appreciate the water, man. The water is so much better there than it is here. A million times. But how have we all been? What have we been up to? How's everyone's week gone? There's not really... Well, I was going to say there's not really much that's happened this week, but there's been a lot that's happened this week, hasn't there? For once, the UK isn't in the big headlines, apart from the fact that we've reached 80,000 deaths for COVID. That's not very good. When we were actually aiming to only hit 20,000. Well, 4 times worse than what we predicted, but what can you do? As always, you know, when the UK does something, America wants to do it bigger. So whilst we're all complaining about Boris, there's potentially a civil war going on in America, which is crazy. Did people watch that? Honestly, I was watching the United game. We lost another semi-final, which was brilliant. Had a boring game today as well, which was brilliant. But then I was watching the United game. It was a derby as well. Yeah. I was watching the game, and then all of a sudden, I'm bloody focusing more on the news than I am the game. I didn't even care that we lost at that game. I was more concerned about what's happening in America. Couldn't believe it, honestly. And then now everyone's just talking about whether Donald Trump should have, is it right for him to get banned? And it's a weird question, is it right for him to get banned? Because the thing is, there is a strong argument to be made that he did sort of start the whole thing in Capitol Hill, and he did, instigate it and sort of fire up his supporters to go to Capitol Hill and take over and, sit on, Nancy Pelosi's desk and all that jazz. But then at the same time, it is a very dangerous game for us to almost allow big tech companies like Twitter, Facebook and Instagram to take down. I mean, if they can take down the president of the United States, the leader of the free world, they can take anyone down. Yeah. And it starts off small, right? Well, I say it starts off small. It starts off with, someone that everyone kind of agree with, or the majority of the people agree with, that, oh yeah, Donald Trump is bad man, get him off Twitter. But eventually it'll get to a point where Twitter can, start getting rid of anyone. Like, so let's say, for example, you had, a political leader that you really liked in the country, but Twitter went, yeah, we don't like him, so we're going to ban him as well. And the reason we're going to give is because he incited hatred in 1945 or something like, probably not the best date to give, but you know what I'm saying? It's a bit of a dodgy area, which is why I'm quite in the middle about that sort of stuff. As regards to America, I don't think they're actually going to go into civil war, although it was pretty crazy. It was just mental, innit? Someone said to me that, and I just sort of said it as well, like, we're doing it bad, but America will probably do it, or doing it worse, and I'm glad it can't happen here, but it could happen here, and you never know. I don't think it will. But you never know. Like, no one thought something like this would happen in America either. I mean, this is the sort of stuff we study in history and international relations, looking at countries, third world countries, this sort of stuff happens where they, riot and do an attempted coup and try and take down the government, and then it fails or it doesn't fail. And, you get the military involved and people were shot and an officer died and 5 citizens were killed. This sort of stuff happens in third world countries, not in the United States of America. But I guess that just sort of shows what the world is, what state the world is in. Although, I mean, not everything has to. I mean, I'm trying to be a bit more positive. It's 2021. We're in a new year. Trying to be a bit more positive. Trying to be a bit more productive. Elon Musk became the richest man in the world. Very nice. Elon Musk is another interesting guy. I mean, I don't know if anyone saw his Twitter exchange. Someone said it. They sort of, it was like a news company or whatever said, Elon Musk becomes the richest man in the world. And then Elon Musk replied, "It's weird and fair enough," or something like that. And he said, "All right, back to work." And if you watch the podcast with him with Joe Rogan, it's really weird because he does kind of seem like a normal guy. Like, all these rich people, you hear them speak and no matter what they do, they can never come across as normal. But with Elon Musk, he's quite a shy guy. He kind of sort of acts confident, but then, when you watch him in the podcast for however many hours he's on the podcast, he comes across a bit more shy, almost a bit more human, to be honest. Who knows? Maybe he's not. Maybe he's a robot. He's got a lot of money, though. He is absolutely balling. And he sort of talked about how his goal in life is to sort of be able to get, humans onto Mars. And so, I mean, that's a positive, I guess. We could be living in Mars in 50 years. We'll probably be fighting over that as well, which is going to be fun. I know, man. Like, just imagine if we actually end up going into like space and start doing space wars and stuff. It'd just be mental. And to be fair, I'm touching my earphone because I'm using a different sort of mic. I mean, it's not a fancy mic. I've not bought this. I just found it. And I thought, let me check mics, make it sound better. So if it does sound better, let me know. If it sounds worse, let me also know, because I want to give you the best quality without spending any money. Okay, I don't want to spend money. I'm Asian. We don't spend money. We're quite cheap, right? So I want to basically be able to produce something good for you. So that, I just want to sort of maximize my ability to make a decent podcast without actually spending any sort of money. Although, hopefully I can stay consistent. I sort of mentioned in the last episode about how I want to do 52 episodes, or 45 to 52 episodes next year. So roughly an episode every week. Obviously here and there I might not be able to for whatever reason, but I want to be able to do an episode a week, sort of maintain consistency and just chat about whatever. Get some podcasts in, podcast guests on. I am actually going to someone else's podcast. I'm going on to Hypothetical Boxing, hosted by James Robinson and Ismail Hussein. That, I don't know when that's going to be released. It'll be released sometime next week. We're going to be talking about podcasting itself and just having a chat, having a catch up. I've never really met Ismail, so that should be nice. Haven't spoken to James in a long time, so again, that should be nice, and just have a nice friendly chat about whatever. Hopefully a bit more positive topics than we do here at me, myself, and hopefully you. But listen, sometimes you've got to talk about the negative topics so that you can get on to the positive topics, which we will hopefully get onto later in this episode. Other than that, I've had a few suggestions as to what people sort of want to talk about. A lot of people have suggested that I talk about football. I think it's because people just sort of enjoy football sort of stuff, and something different is quite interesting. I quite like watching small football YouTubers just because it's interesting. I also watch big ones, but small ones are quite interesting. And I don't know, I've got this sort of kind of idea of having a mini sort of version of this, but for football, and not talk about a particular team in that sense, but talk about women's football, which is on the rise. Talk about sort of UEFA and FIFA, like these big institutions within football, the money that's now in football, sort of the failures of the EFL, and ownership. And it sort of links with kind of business and management and that sort of stuff, which I'm quite interested in. I don't study it, but I do find it quite interesting. And I don't know, it could be quite interesting for you to watch. I know I'd definitely be interested in talking about it. I want to get other people on, like, sort of Burnley supporters, with the new owners, getting a few Burnley supporters in, how do they feel about it? Get other teams on and talk about what they could sort of do what it's like to be a fan of their club. Because, I'm a United fan. And, a few years ago, if you ever told someone that you're a United fan, the chances are you get told you're a Glory supporter. But we've not really had that much glory. So that's sort of good thing about United not doing very well, is you can't be called a Glory supporter anymore, which is like, that's the positive thing, I think, out of it all. But yeah, I don't know, maybe, hopefully, I'm hoping once I get onto hypothetical boxing, I can sort of learn how to get two people on a podcast and have a chat to them. There's sort of other ones. Let me know if you want me to sort of chat about particular topics. I've got a few in mind. I've got men's mental health, that one that I'm going to do with someone. I've got another one that I want to do about music and sort of the impact music has on people. I've got someone on for that, and particularly on the youth. What else have I got? I can't remember. I've got a note of sort of different sort of things that I can talk about. But yeah, like just sort of different topics, I guess. Because I don't want to just talk about the news. I know this is sort of, especially the beginning, it's just sort of me going through what's sort of kind of gone on in the news and trying to explain it as best as I can, as if I actually know what's gone on in the news. I don't know what's going on in the news. Honestly, I'm an absolute idiot. You guys probably know more than me. What I will recommend, I'll recommend two things actually. I'll recommend Simple Politics, Simple Politics on Instagram, just one full word, Simple Politics. They break everything down. They're the most unbiased thing I've seen. I'm not saying that they're unbiased, because everything's biased, but they are the most unbiased thing I've seen. And they sort of just break down what's happening in government. They do like 1 or 2 posts a day. They break down what's happening. I don't watch the press conferences. I don't bother. They just annoy me. And they're so long, and the journalist questions are usually just stupid. Like, they're questions that no one actually wants to know. But they sort of break it down, and it's like, I don't have to spend half an hour watching Boris talk about random crap. I can just sort of read it, and it's quite good. So Simple Politics and on Instagram, and News Tea on... there's News Tea, and there's another one called Read 3 Lines. I've not checked out Read 3 Lines, but I've checked out News Tea. News Tea is NWSTY. That's NWSTY, and that's a Play Store. It's on Play Store and Apple's store. It's an app, and it just sort of, in a short paragraph, summarizes 5 different stories, and you can click on 5 different stories around the world that's happened, and then you can click on View More, and you can read a whole article on it if you're really interested. That's sort of how I keep up to date on my news. I get notifications and stuff like that. I'll watch the news. That's what I do. Some people did say to make this longer. I don't know how I feel about making it long. I would love to make it longer. I just don't think people would want to watch it. Like 20 minutes of me. I would feel like 10 minutes of me of just talking is more than enough. So 20 minutes is a lot. And some people said they wanted it longer than that, which is long. 20 more than 20 minutes. Crazy. But maybe I'll do like 2 segments in a week or something like that. Having a sort of this and a mini football show could be that'll probably be about 40 minutes altogether worth of content for you guys for absolutely free. So you're welcome, kids. You're welcome. And on Spotify as well. So it's all great. Honestly, I'm really excited to get on hypothetical boxing as well. A few people have also suggested some other stuff to talk about, stuff about like productivity and stuff. I'm not an expert on that sort of stuff. I'm definitely not. This is how I describe myself. I describe myself as the laziest productive person in the world, right? So I will have days where I am the most productive person in the world. Mentally, sometimes I will be on it, yeah? But then I'll have days where I'm just not, right? And I think the best way to sort of become productive is to start small, yeah? To do little things and to almost break tasks down. And to not punish yourself when you haven't done something. If you set a goal of you want to run on Monday, you want to do the first section of your essay on Monday, and you want to read 15 pages of a book on Monday, right? Those are your 3 goals. And you don't do any of them. You get up at 12 p.m. on Monday, you lie on your phone for 2 hours, you have breakfast, you order a takeaway, you watch a film. The important thing is to not sort of go... I've blown it. Oh well, try again next week. Right? No, don't try again next week. Try again tomorrow. And forget, it's happened, whatever, and almost look at it as, well, my body, that's what my body just naturally needed. It just naturally needed to almost have a break. It wasn't ready to work today, but tomorrow it's going to be on it. And have that mindset of, tomorrow I'll do it, right? If the day's finished, just be like, right, tomorrow I'm going to do it. And you know what? Tomorrow, the aim isn't to do all 3 of those tasks. It's going to do one of those tasks. I'm going to run tomorrow. That's it. If I run tomorrow, I'm going to be happy. That's it. Start small, do them slowly, and you'll get there. One of the best so I've been trying to lose weight for God knows how long. Yeah, and I still am. Man's a fatty. Look at me, right? But the best thing that I found was this sort of it's from a guy called Jordan Syatt, right? He's a sort of training sort of coach, talks about calories and stuff like that. And what he did was he said, right, for 90 days, right, have a sort of calendar for 90 days, right? So for those 90 days, you're going to try your best, for me, to eat a certain amount of calories and not go over. Now, if you do go over, you're going to, so there's 90 boxes for 90 days, you're going to colour that box in. If you don't go over, you're going to cross that box. And the aim of it is by the end of the 90 days, to have roughly around 70-80%, of the boxes crossed, because you've hit your calorie goal, right? And it doesn't have to be calories, it could be running or whatever. And by doing that, and by having that sort of visual, one, it reminds you every day that you want as many crosses as possible. When you wake up, you see, right, I want as many crosses as possible. I'm not going to order a takeaway. I'm not going to have Greggs for breakfast. I'm going to, smash it. Maybe I'll have Greggs for breakfast on the weekend, or one of the days I'll have a takeaway or whatever, but I'm not going to go over my calories today because I really want next, yeah? And if you don't on that day, if you end up having a takeaway, you end up having this, you end up having that, and you colour it in, you can see that, okay, I've coloured that one day in, but visually you can see the rest of those days. And you look at the rest of those days as opportunities to do well, to get those crosses. Because you know that just because you've had a bad day there, that does not affect the rest of your sort of month or the rest of the 90 days, yeah? So let's say you got 7 crosses and then you got 3 coloured in, and you go, well, that's just messed up my whole progress. Or maybe you got 7 crosses and 7 coloured in. So you've technically done 0 days of sort of, calorie, you've hit your goal for 0 days because, net value or whatever. When you see those other empty boxes, and you see those extra days, and you go, right, I've still got, what's 90? I've still got 83 days to hit my goal, to be as consistent as possible, because that is the end of the game, is the game at the end of the day, right? It's not about being perfect every day. It's about being consistent with trying to do what you want to do. Not necessarily doing what you want to do. Just because I say that I want to do a 10K today doesn't mean I'm going to do the 10K. The important thing is I actually try and do the 10K, right? Because if I at least try and do the 10K and I don't do the 10K, then one, at least it's something. Something's better than nothing. But 2, I am getting closer and closer to doing that 10K. Yeah? By 10K, I mean 10 kilometers, if you don't know what I'm talking about. It's a sort of running analogy. I'm saying this as if I'm an expert at running. I'm not. And listen, you'll have times where you are awful, right? So I've done this sort of 90-day technique twice. So I've done 6 months worth. So I've been dieting or using this dieting technique for 6 months. The first 3 months, I got 70% consistency, yeah? 70% consistency, lost 2 stones. I know you're looking at me like, Tarek, if you lost 2 stones, you would look a lot better than this. Trust me, man's still a fatty. I've still got a long way to go, right? Then the second 3 months came. I've been awful. 50% consistent. I've probably been about 40% consistent. I've worked out. I've got the board thing there. That's why I'm looking over there. If I do the next 17 days of getting loads of crosses and hitting my calorie goals, then I'll be 56% consistent for 3 months. You want to be getting to 70-80%. But I look at that and I go, right, these 3 months, they've not been a good 3 months. Mentally, I've struggled. I've had some struggles at uni. I've had some other struggles and whatever. And so I've lacked. I've been slacking. But a lot of people, what we tend to do is we go, when you don't have a visual like that, what you end up going is, you do well on Monday, you do a little bit better on Tuesday, you do decent on Wednesday, Thursday comes and you go, I can't be bothered, I'm just going to have a takeaway. And then you wake up the next day and you feel like crap and you go, you know what, I messed it up on Thursday, I might as well try again on Monday. So you end up eating too much on Thursday, eating too much on Friday, eating too much on Saturday, eating too much on Sunday. You don't do any workout on those days, you don't do anything, you just eat and you feel sorry for yourself and you go, on Monday I'll try again. So what you've done there is you've done 3 good days and 4 bad days. 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that adds up to 7. Oh, yeah. When what you could have done is you could have done 3 good days, had 1 bad day, maybe even 2 bad days, and then had another 2 good days, right? That would have meant you had 5 good days and 2 bad days. Yeah? That is a lot better than 3 good days and 4 bad days. Do you know what I'm trying to say here? Right? I don't know if this makes sense. Right? And think about it in the long term. That means that essentially means that you are roughly what? 60-70% consistent? Sorry, no, it doesn't. That's wrong. If you've had 3 good days and 4 bad days a week, you're less than 50% consistent. If you do 6 good days, 1 bad day, 5 good days, 2 bad days, right? You are roughly around 70% consistent. And if you're 70% consistent for 3 months, you will get, if you might not hit your goal, but you will get closer to your goal. Now, if I ask you the question, would you rather be in the position you are in now, or would you rather be closer to your goal? Which one would you choose? Of course, you choose closer to your goal. Because goals, especially diet goals, we sort of put a time limit on them. We sort of say, by the end of the year, by the end of the 6 months, by the end of 3 months, I want to look like a bloody supermodel. It's a load of rubbish. Don't restrict the time that for you to complete that goal. Tell yourself that's your goal, and tell yourself that you're willing to give you the time that it takes to get there, because you'd rather get there after 3 years than try for 2 months solid, get really close, and then fall off because you can't do it anymore because what you're doing isn't sustainable. You want something that's sustainable. To say that you're going to run 7 days a week for the next year is not sustainable. It's an unsustainable goal. To say that you're going to try and run at least once a week, that's 52 times you're going to run, right? 52 times running is better than running, 7, 14, 21, 20, 28 times in a month and then never running again. 52 times. And you only have to run once, okay? Or maybe run 2 times a week or 3 times a week, right? Have sort of easier short-term goals that will get you closer and closer to your long-term goal. That's how I lost the 2 stones. Now, the reason why I've ended up gaining a stone back, because I've been really inconsistent over the last few weeks, is obviously, like I said, I've been struggling mentally. Well, also, I was at home, so I could eat more. I was getting takeaway loads, whatever. I was going all out. But, I've still got another 17 days left of this 90-day period. I'm looking at these 17 days and going, right, I'm going to smash it. Right, I'm going to do so well in these 17 days. I'm going to run as much as I possibly can. Not every day, not every other day. I'm going to run as much as I possibly can. I'm going to hit those calorie goals, 1,500 calories. I ain't going above that. Yeah, I'm going to meal plan. I'm motivated. Because when you see something visual, when it's there in front of you, I would actually go get it. But then I'll have to put actually, you know what? I'll get it. 1 second. Oh, I'm back. If you're on Spotify, you ain't getting this content, mate. Watch it on Spotify and then come back here. We're on 22 minutes 50. 22 minutes 50 and you'll be able to see it, right? So this is it. So you've got 10 days going across here. Sorry, you've got 10 boxes across here and 10 boxes down here, right? And you can see I was so consistent at the beginning, right? Because loads of X's, and then look at this. Load of blocks. Yeah? Load of blocks. No running, no nothing. And that's all right. People will do this, yeah? Will have loads of bad days, and they'll continue to have bad days. Then they'll probably have 10 days of good days, then they'll go back to being bad. When you have something visual like this, you can see that every day is still an opportunity to do what you want to do and to hit your goals and to get closer to your goals. When you don't have a visual, I feel like you sort of underappreciate how much time you've got. Now, I'm not saying we've got unlimited time on this world. We don't know when we're going to die, and so you should take every opportunity and you should go for things, yeah, because you don't know how much time you've got. But you've also got to be realistic, okay? And maybe it's bad to say, especially if you're sort of religious or, you believe in, what's the word? Like jinx and stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with any of that if you believe anything like that or if you're religious. Okay, but your average life expectancy is what? 80. Most of us will probably live to 80. God forbid something happens, but we live to 80, 90, right? Most people that are listening to this are what? 20? But let's assume you're 100. Sorry, not assume you're 100. Let's assume you live to 100. You're roughly about 20 that you're listening to this, 19, 20. You've only lived 20% of your life. You've still got 80% of your life to hit those goals. You've still got 80% of your life to look the way you want to look, right? And okay, fine. You don't want to look, you know, like you don't want your abs at 100. Okay. You want your abs at 25. You want your abs at 30. You've still got time to do that. Even if you want your abs in a year's time, look at it and go, right, for a year, I'm going to be as consistent as possible. Or actually, for this month, I'm going to be as consistent as possible. I'm going to do 30 boxes. I'm not going to do 90 boxes like this. I'm going to do 30 boxes to represent 30 days. And I'm going to do them, you know, some days I have good days, some days I have bad days, and then work out at the end what percentage, how consistent you've been over that month. Let's say you've been 30% consistent, right? You've been 30% consistent that month, and you know, you're not happy with that. You're not seeing much changes, okay? The next month you go, right, next month I'm going to be 40% consistent. That's just going to be the aim, just 40%. Next month, 50%. Next month, it's the consistency of being consistent, almost. It's not just about being consistent. Does that make sense? Right? If you're consistently trying to be consistent and trying to improve bit by bit, you'll inevitably improve. Honest to God, I've been trying to lose weight for years, my whole life probably, right? Probably since I was about 7 when I got told I was fat by everyone and chubby and whatever. And I still do, right? But not by everyone. I don't get told I'm fat by everyone, okay? But that's not the point. The point is, right? The point is, I don't know what the point is. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, the point is I've only just sort of made progress in losing weight and progress in my running by having a visual board like this. It helps so much, you know, when I have that sort of visual in front of me. And what also, another thing that helps, and I know I'm getting to the 26-minute mark and, you know, it's not meant to be this long. Another thing that helps is not having loads of goals and wanting everything to be perfect. And what I mean by that, and especially this time around, you know, we're on the 9th of January. You know, some people have already completely binned off the New Year's resolutions. Some people are sort of going. Some people will probably carry on going until about January, February time, and then they'll give up. What I will say is have 1 or 2 sort of goals. Yeah. Don't think about, you know, 10 different goals, you know, have them all written down. You're going to have a 6-pack by the end of the year. You're going to be able to run 10K in half an hour. You're going to read 100 books. You're going to get a first-class degree. You're going to go travel, you know, like don't make a million of these goals. Have 1 or 2 that you're going to really focus on, right? So my focus on for 2021, I've got 2 main goals, right? Number 1, sleep more, to have a better sleeping pattern, frequent sleeping pattern, and not only practically, but theoretically understand sleep more, okay? I talked about the sort of book that I bought. It's by Nick Littlehales. I've talked about previously about a podcast I watched with an expert on sleep, Matthew Walker, on the Joe Rogan podcast. Highly recommend watching it. It changed my perspective on sleep completely, how important sleep is. I could do a whole podcast on it, and I don't know anything. I know very little about sleep, but the amount I learned from that was ridiculous. I would 100% recommend you watch that podcast, because you will look at sleep. You will end up having the same goal as me, that you want to improve your sleep, because sleep is the fundamental thing in everything that we do. Studying, working, running, you know, exercise, everything, our relationships that we have, it impacts every single thing that we have, our moods, even, you know, biologically, you know, what's going on, it improves our health. It has a huge impact on us, which is why I want to focus on sleep. So I'm going to do another one of these, right, with just for sleep, okay? My second one is so they're mainly health based, okay, and I'll tell you why they're mainly health based. And the second goal is actually I haven't fully explained what my first goal is. What my first goal is, I should actually write this down, probably help. The goal is to have a better sleeping pattern, and to have this sleeping pattern for 7 days a week. So not to do, you know, 5 days waking up at 9 and then giving myself a line till 12 on a Saturday and Sunday, right? I want to have a consistent sort of sleeping pattern, and the aim is in the next 3 years to essentially get rid of an alarm clock. I don't want to wake up with an alarm clock. I don't want I want to just naturally sort of wake up and be able to wake up at 8 and get ready and go to work or go to uni or whatever. Like, that's what I want. And it is possible. There are people that I know that have it. There are, other people online, you'll hear about how they don't use an alarm clock. I want to be able to get into a good sleeping pattern. I'm going to hopefully buy like some sort of sleep tracker that just, gives it me. I'm quite interested in data and stuff. I mean, as you can see with the numbers and the percentages with that, I quite like knowing about the numbers and that sort of stuff behind it, stuff like that. So like being able to see how much I've slept in the night and, whether I'm consistently getting 7 to 9 hours, that sort of interests me. So that's my sort of goal, is to just sleep well as much as possible throughout the year. My second one is to do with my running. And that is, I want to be able to run 10K on a consistent basis. I want to be able to run 10K 3 times a week. I can run 10K once and then that's it for the week. I can run 2 5. I can probably run 1 10K and 2 5Ks, but I ain't running 2 10Ks. That's killing me, right? I want to be able to run 3 10Ks in a week. And if I can, I want to be able to run that 10K in an hour or an hour and 10. The main goal is to be able to run 3 10Ks in a week, but a side goal would also be to be able to run a 10K in a certain hour, in a certain time. But again, you can see from that, there are specific goals, and those are my main goals. Those are the things I'm really striving for. The other ones are sort of side things that if I can get in there, I really want to do. I want to sort of, I have, goals for the podcast as well. The little goal, 52 episodes. Want to do that. I want to lose more weight. I want to do well at uni. I want to meet more people. I want to hopefully by the end of 2021 have traveled somewhere. Hopefully we can do that and go to another country in Europe or something like that. Whether that's with friends, whether that's by myself. I want to just go somewhere in Europe for the week, for 3-4 days, for a week, whatever. And just because I've never done something like that. And I feel like I will really get myself out of my comfort zone. Just sort of go away, even if it's just to like France or something, somewhere, close by, not that far. Even if it's Scotland, yeah, I will take that. Because I don't know how easy it's going to be to get into France after we've left the EU. We will see the impacts of that, but at the end of the year. But just something like as simple as that. So let me know, what are your sort of goals for the year? I want to know. I want to interested. Let me know what you want me to talk about. Are you interested in me doing sort of like a mini football show? To be fair, I don't really care if anyone's interested in me doing a football show. I just sort of want to do it. I think it'd be quite fun. I've got one person who's really up for doing it. Yeah, and he's a really nice guy as well. So hopefully hopefully I can sort something out with him and we can get something going on. But yeah, let me know what your goals are, because I am intrigued. What do you want to accomplish? Like 1 or 2 goals, right? And honestly, try this 90-day technique, 30-day technique, whatever you want to call it. It is a lifesaver. And having a visual thing, right next to your door is one of the first things you look at when you wake up, because you see opportunities. Those white boxes, yeah, that haven't been filled. These white boxes right at the bottom, okay? These ones right here. They're opportunities to hit your goals, right? And to be satisfied and, maintain a bit of consistency. Be consistent in your consistency. That, I think that might be the title of this episode. It might not, who knows. But that's about it. Yeah, that's all what I wanted to talk about. Actually, there was something else I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about, you know what? Let's have a little longer episode. We'll see how well it does. If people like having a 40-minute episode, we can do a 40-minute episode. I wanted to talk about 2021. And the sort of how we're all feeling towards it and how I'm personally feeling towards it. But also, like we've talked about quite a lot of negative things here. And, at the end of the day, that's what this podcast is going to be. I'm not going to lie. It is going to be a lot of negative sort of talking, I guess, because unfortunately the news is negative most of the time. And, I'm interested in the news, so I want to talk about that. So it's going to be negative ultimately, but I want to be as positive as possible. And so I was watching something. I was watching a few things that were about, and I would actually recommend everyone to do this if you're really feeling down about and feeling uncertain about everything. Honestly, go on the internet and type in rather than typing in the news, type in why 2021 will be a good year, or what is there to look forward to in 2021? What movies is there to look forward to in 2021? That sort of stuff, right? And I was looking at it, and there are positives, aren't there? There are suggestions that we could potentially see a V-shaped economic recovery, which is basically, yes, the economy sort of crashed in the last few months with COVID, but in 2021, with the vaccines out, we could end up having an immediate rise because people are going to want to spend money. People have saved a lot of money, people that have been lucky to have their jobs, and they're going to want to spend it. People that wanted to buy a car before COVID will go out and potentially buy their car and stuff like that. We could potentially see that. There are economists that are saying that is a possibility. If you're into football, we've got potentially the Euros. We've got a young England squad who could do really well. We've got a huge potential in this England squad. Honestly, I've never believed in England more in my life. I think we've got such a good group of players right now. If we can get them to play properly and well, we could really do well. And I think we could go quite far. So there's that. And there's some other stuff as well. I've sort of talked about the vaccines that are available now. These vaccine, the newest sort of vaccine is a lot cheaper. It can be sustained more, it doesn't need to be kept in extreme conditions. More and more people are getting it. In the UK, they want 15 million people to get it by 15th of February or something like that. I think that might be completely wrong, but they want people that are in the top 4 priority groups to have it by then. And they have, sort of said that, once the people that need the vaccine get it, we can uplift restrictions. Now, I'm not saying by April we're going to be all home free and we can do whatever we want. Realistically, I do see, essentially the whole of 2021 to, have COVID restrictions. But there are still positives that are going to happen. I don't think we'll still be in the same position. I know a lot of people are saying that, we're in the same position we were in 2020 in March. But that's not technically true. It might feel like that, we are in another lockdown. But that is because we have this second strain, we have got problems. But it is also because these people need to get vaccinated. And you've got to remember that if you have the tons and tons of cases in hospitals, you won't have the ability to vaccinate people. So rather than looking at this like, we're gone into lockdown again because we've messed up and, it's so Bob's fault because he goes out partying and James's fault because he does this and Michael's fault because he does that and Boris's fault because he does this. We all like to slander Boris. I do it all the time, and the government and the Labour Party and whoever. But rather than looking at it like that, you've got to look at it as we need an opportunity to vaccinate the people that need to get vaccinated, to get, get the people that are, most in danger of getting the virus and suffering from the virus, in a safe position. And the only way you can do that is if the deaths decrease and the cases decrease and, less people have it, and so you don't have to treat as many people. Essentially you are flattening the curve again, but this time the curve is lower, and it's the reason why we're trying to flatten it isn't just to help the NHS, but it's also to get these people vaccinated as quickly as possible. So there are positives out there. Honestly, if you're struggling, I would definitely recommend you sort of go online. The one time I'd recommend to go online when you're struggling and type in, things to look forward to in 2021, whatever you're interested in. If you're interested in sports, go online, type in things to look forward to in 2021 sports. If you're interested in movies, same thing, movies. If you're interested in wardrobes, same thing, wardrobes. If you're interested in IKEA, put in IKEA, whatever, man. Because there is good material out there. Another thing that I'd recommend to follow is Goodable on Twitter. Very good account. They've got like 70,000 followers, and they just share really amazing and inspiring stories. Like they had this one thing where with the Capitol Hill thing, the mayor of DC announced that there was going to be a curfew, so you weren't allowed to go outside after 6 p.m. because of everything that happened in America in Capitol Hill. And so it meant that a lot of the emergency service workers, that were working after 6 wouldn't have access to like food place to go get food and get something to eat. So this one guy basically made loads of food in a restaurant and gave it away for free, and it was just really nice to read that, especially after the scene that when I read it, it was the day after it all happened. It was like, this, it brings back faith into humanity. So I would recommend Goodable. So there's like 4 things I recommended: Simple Politics, on Instagram, Newsty, so that's NWSTY on the Play Store and Apple Store, and then Goodable on Twitter. Very good accounts. They just sort of keep you positive and keep you going. But it's hit 40 minutes. I hope you appreciate that, Naeem. That one's for you. 40 minutes, mate. That's a long time of listening to me. If you actually watch this whole thing, please do let me know. Let me know if you want me to talk about any sort of topics. In particular, I've got quite a list of a few things. I've sort of gone over a few things as well that people have talked about. But like I said, I want to talk about music with someone. I want to talk about football. I want to talk about all the things all the things people talked about. Someone talked about Bitcoin. I don't really know much about Bitcoin. I do think it's the future. Maybe it could come up in potential conversations with guests and stuff like that. If you want to come on and talk about something in particular, let me know. Again, I am trying to figure out how to do it, of how to get multiple sort of podcasts. I am, again, also going on someone else's podcast, Hypothetical Boxing. Check them out on Spotify and on Instagram, Hypothetical Boxing. They're the guys who inspired me to do this podcast. And I feel like we're sort of got a bit of competition going, which is great. Friendly competition is always a great thing. But yeah, I'll let you know when that podcast comes out, and I'll share it on my Instagram. But other than that, have a nice week. And yeah, take care.